boopy 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 boo. Boopy 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 boo. Boo doo 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 doo. Welcome to the show that you like to know and is called The Island Shuffle.
How are you today?
I'm well. I'm happy that it's Wednesday, and I'm happy that it's only 2 days left of the week. How are you?
It's my Friday.
It's your Friday.
Week's over.
Hey,
Let the fun begin.
crack one open.
Crack
for
one
the
open.
weekend.
Crack open a non-alcoholic Radler.
Yes, we sipped on some non-alcoholic President's Choice Radlers, and they were actually pretty tasty. I like
Got a case of 12 for 94 cents.
that. Is so insane.
It's a weird price. They should make it like $1.50.
They should make it like something that they don't lose cost for selling.
Yeah,
Are they
I
supposed
think they
to
were trying to
profit?
get rid of it. I don't know what the deal is.
I'm no capitalist, but I think profit is the whole thing.
Capitalist, more like
Yeah, baby. Oh boy,
Ooh.
it's crazy. Sometimes I look at capitalism and I think more like crapitalism.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Ooh.
crap.
For every big winner, there's a big loser somewhere, too. And you remember that, kids.
Yeah, you remember that.
Don't take that home.
Don't take it home. Hey, what do we do on this podcast?
We talk about capitalism.
We talk about dismantling capitalism
yeah.
once and for all.
Yeah, don't take that home.
Don't take that home.
So on behalf of the show, like we say
Yeah,
every
yeah.
time,
don't take that home. All right, we actually, in addition to dismantling capitalism, crapitalism, as I like to call
Capitalism,
it,
yeah.
we also talk about the television show Lost, episode by episode. But the twist, the caveat, is we watch it in a random
The
complete
caviar
order.
of the show.
The caviar
thing that
is-
makes it so expensive.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is a bourgeoisie show, which is why it needs to be dismantled along with the capitalist.
Exactly.
The capitalist. What's the word? Patriarchy. That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This show is called The Island Shuffle, and we watched Lost out of order. What
Just
episode
had
did
to
we?
squeeze that in there real quick.
Just had to toss that in there, between all of our communist ramblings. What is the episode we watched this week, James?
This week, we watched the episode titled One of Them.
One of them.
It is Season 2, Episode 14.
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact about this episode, it is immediately following The Long Con, which was our original and best episode.
It's true. We've never done a better episode than that first episode. And all you suckers who are still listening, you got swindled, my friend, by us.
Because up until this one, we haven't had a better one, but this one's better.
This one's going to be better.
I got a feeling.
You hang on to your butts because it's going to get better.
I've got that non-alcoholic Radler swishing around
Yeah.
in my thought fields.
That's where it goes.
Got it for 94 cents because capitalism.
Capitalism.
And it was a good
It
episode.
was an all right episode. It centered around Sayid. This is our first time talking about a Sayid episode.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good old buddy.
Buddy.
And it was heavy on the Sayid is an Iraqi soldier aspect of things.
Yes. Not just that he is an Iraqi soldier, but that he is a very skilled torturer.
Yeah.
Mm.
Just like a good dad.
Yeah.
You know how like dads like you have like dad strength or something.
Yeah.
I guess I extended that metaphor and it didn't work out very well.
No, it didn't really.
My dad couldn't do what Sayid does here. I don't think he could.
I don't
I'm gonna
think.
be honest here.
I don't know if many people could do what Sayid does in this
No,
episode.
You know what? I'm gonna take a strong stance on this one and just say outright, don't torture other people.
Yeah, you should not torture other people. I think
It's-
it's bad.
Yeah, it's not a good way to go.
But this episode,
It's the best thing for them to do.
this episode is the best thing. This episode comes out the other side decidedly pro-torture,
Yeah,
which is
definitely.
I don't
pro-torture.
think the general way that Sayid is. I think many Sayid episodes are like he's haunted by what he's
Yeah,
done.
of course.
And
This time he doesn't care though at all.
This time he's like so cool with it, and in the final monologue is him being like, I feel no guilt for what I did because torture is good in this case.
That is word for word his monologue.
This is word for word what Sayid says.
It is interesting, actually, that they have a whole narrative centered around torture and don't really deal with any of the moral. I guess
They
kind of do with Jack is against it.
Yeah, Jack is the anti-voice, and then Locke is just kind of chaotic in there.
Yeah, Locke doesn't care about anything at this point.
There's a lot to unpack about Sayid Jarrah's character and how 2004 it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's just disclaimer time. Sayid being a brown character, we are both white. We are not necessarily the most equipped people to be talking about this sort of thing. But it seems like not necessarily the best representation to have your one brown character be the vicious torturer.
Yeah, I would say that's probably...
The torturer with the heart of gold, mind you.
Uh-huh.
But, like, still, like, I can see what they're going for. It's
he
2004.
He says, like, when he's asked, "Who are you?" he responds, "I am a torturer."
Yes. I don't think that's
like, that is a little on the nose, that one.
It's not great. It is
but,
not
you
great.
know, Lost made their choices.
They made their choices. They stuck to their guns.
They stuck to their guns.
They stuck to their pliers.
They stuck to their pliers.
They
long conned their guns.
They long conned their guns. Where do you want to start in this one?
Should we start flashbacks?
Let's start with a flashback.
Okay.
Because that's how the episode opens anyway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're in the middle of the Gulf War, I think?
No, we're in Iraq.
Yeah, that's where the Gulf War happened, I think.
Yeah, but we're in, like, the War on Terror, like 2004.
No, 2004 is when they crashed. This is, like... Because you hear the soldiers saying, like, well, your buddy Saddam walked into Kuwait. And so it's like...
I don't know anything about world history.
That's fine. I understand.
There's too many wars.
There's too many of them.
Happening.
I get it.
Going into Iraq that Sayid was there.
It's true. It's not a joke.
More than I would care for in the past several decades, I'll tell you that much.
Yes, we are taking a strong anti-war stance here.
They're in the Gulf War.
Finally, someone's saying it. We should stop having wars.
Stop having so many wars.
Yes. Well, that was easy. What an easy conversation to have.
This has been our talk about capitalism.
Yes, really. Wow, we're diving in. We're pulling no punches.
Torture's bad. Stop having so many wars.
So many of them.
Wow. When was the Gulf War? 90s?
90s. It was the early 90s. It was like before, if not before I was born, like I would have been like pooping my pants. Certainly before you were born. Yeah.
It's a nice visual.
It's a nice visual. You're like thinking of me pooping my pants while the Gulf War rages on.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
So we're in the middle of an Iraqi bunker and it's chaos. They're getting bombed. And everybody's like the commanding officer is like, shred this, shred that.
Yeah, they're just shredding, which is really funny.
They're just shredding stuff.
They're shredding all the documents. Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem like a place that has printers, yet they're shredding everything.
They're shredding every single thing, which, sure. What else are you going to do other than escape from the incoming Americans who barge in, guns everywhere.
They keep going, stop shredding.
They say stop shredding, but he keeps shredding.
Steve's going.
He keeps shredding on the guitar. And the sergeant's like, if he doesn't stop shredding, I'm a loose cannon. And everybody's like, he doesn't understand. And he's like, I don't care. I'm a crazy American.
I'm gonna do it.
I'm gonna do it. And eventually Sayid shouts out in Arabic, I assume, maybe not Arabic. I actually don't know. But he shouts out, stop shredding or they'll kill you. And they basically say, oh, this guy understands English and Arabic, so let's get him on our side. And so they take him in. And they start talking to him, and they walk him around in CGI Iraq.
It is really funny. CGI Iraq does not age well.
It did not age particularly well. It is a JPEG of a texture from Call of Duty superimposed.
That's really funny.
Superimposed over a staircase.
It's incredibly gray.
It's incredibly gray. It's quite gray.
Well, too gray, I would say. It's interesting. I guess they just don't have the budget as like Star Wars or something does.
Exactly.
But that's around the same time.
Exactly.
And those look fine.
I would not say they. I don't think those. I think they don't age as poorly as Lost does.
Yeah.
But they do show their age for sure.
I'm not watching Star Wars recently enough.
That's true.
Soon enough.
You should
frequently
watch them.
enough.
You should watch them sooner rather than later. No, you shouldn't. They're not good.
I'll be right back. I gotta go watch Star Wars.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna leave the audio feed running while James goes to watch Star Wars.
I'll do those funny comments over movies.
Yeah, that's
People like
interesting.
those.
People like those,
Especially over bad movies.
Hey, what do you think of the Phantom Menace?
It's not very interesting.
What do you think of Attack of the Clones?
It's once again, not very interesting.
And how about the old finale, Revenge of the Sith?
Not incredibly interesting.
Well, that's been Star Wars Hour here on the Island Shuffle. Back to whatever it was we were talking about, which is Call of Duty JPEGs.
Yeah. What did you think of Call of Duty Modern Warfare? Wait, no, let's go back.
It would be Call of Duty, they would still be doing World War II Call of Duties back then, I think.
The current one is called World War II.
They brought it back to World War II, and apparently it's not very good. You can open loot boxes on the beach of Normandy, and your allies can see your loot boxes opening up and going pew pew pew, you got a better gun or whatever. So I'm glad that video games exist.
Very weird period piece.
Very weird period piece. You might say that video games don't quite handle the nuance of respecting war and the sacrifice of soldiers very well, huh?
I don't think they do.
I don't
tell you truly.
Tell you the truth. If you think about it for longer than a second, they could do a lot better.
I've been playing a lot of the NHL hockey game, and I feel like they do an okay job of respecting the nuances of the sacrifice of the players, and maybe all these war video games should
take a page out of NHL 18.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I can respect that take.
If I find loot crates in the middle of my sheet ice, I'll be some mad about that. I tell you what.
You'll go right up to EA and say, "Hey, please don't."
Yeah, take that back.
Take that back. Anyways, back in Iraq.
Sayid. Back in Iraq.
Back in Iraq. Sayid, basically the Americans have Sayid's commanding officer held, and they want information from him about a tortured or not. They want
captured pilot.
Yes, the Iraqis have a captured pilot, and the
who
Americans
we don't know at this point if it's Frank or not.
Oh man, but
we
Frank,
do suspect it may be Frank.
It could be Frank because Frank is a pilot.
Yeah, he's a pilot.
One thing you gotta know about Frank, who doesn't show up in this episode at all. Spoiler alert.
He doesn't show up for several years.
But he is a pilot. So
that's why he wears this outfit.
In case you haven't noticed.
I'm a pilot.
So they have Sayid serve as a translator. And the CO is basically you're working for them now? Fuck you. You're a disgrace. And Sayid's just he said they don't know. And so they kind of get nowhere.
Yeah.
And eventually, Sayid sits down with none other than a fella named Kelvin, who we've met before, you and I.
We have met before.
This is the same fella who Desmond is hanging out with in the hatch.
Kelvin's a bad dude.
He's a bad dude. He basically says, he kind of plays the I'm going to put my chair back, sit on it backwards, and, level with you man to man, Sayid. You're a loyal guy. I respect that. But check out this footage of war crimes that your CO committed. And we get footage of war crimes his CO committed. We don't see the footage of it happening, but we hear screams.
In a really bizarre scene in which I couldn't help but picture just some person in a studio making shrieks of pain for a very long time while they assembled this intricate.
And there's very soft plink, plink, plink.
Yeah.
This kind of sad, beautiful music over these
shrieks of pain.
Horrible shrieks of pain.
Yeah.
It's a little odd.
Yeah.
It's an odd juxtaposition. So Sayid basically says, what do you want me to do about it? What the heck do you want me to do about it?
Buddy, what can I do here?
And Kelvin spins him a little box. And what's in that box? He takes that box up to his CO, opens it up, begins laying it out. Well, it's torture tools, buddy. Pliers, screwdriver, probably some other stuff. You name it, it's there.
I always thought they would have special tools.
Nope, just
stuff. There's a hammer in there.
Just literally a toolbox, just like your dad's utility belt.
It's good to know that like you can
Measuring
do it
tape.
with homemade.
Sticky tack.
Sticky tack would be good.
Power drill.
Put that on someone's skin for a while. They'll be like, I'm sticky.
They'll be like, oh no, you could put a poster on me for
What
like
are
a month.
What are some really mild forms of torture that you could think of, like just sort of unpleasant?
I keep thinking of tools, and they are all actually like, oh, that would be unpleasant. I thought of like, well, like a pencil, and then I was like, no, you could do some bad shit with that.
But I'm thinking like, you take a marker and you draw all over their arms.
Yeah,
and they're like, this is a mess.
I'm thinking like you have like a roll of duct tape, and like you're like doing like budget waxing of their hairs, and they're like, oh shit, that actually does sting a lot.
Yeah.
But like I'm not that much.
Or you have like a banana, and then you mush it right up, and then you feed it to them, and they're like, this is the worst banana I've ever had.
This is a bad banana.
It's been mushed by your hands.
I was hoping for a better banana.
Yeah. This banana is subpar.
This is a subpar.
I'll tell you whatever you want.
Just give me a decent banana. Even if it's a little ripe, I'll take it over that hand mushed
You could
banana.
get a bottle of Coca-Cola and shake it up and then spray it on the person.
You know, this is why you and I are not Sayid Jarrah.
Just
imagine-
so
Imagine the climax of this episode where Sayid is like really going to town on someone, and he's just like feeding them a mushy banana. Instead of like kicking them, he's just like feeding them a banana and like spraying soda in his face. And he's like, tell me everything.
God damn it, I'll do it. Just stop making a mess.
My clothes are going to be sticky.
Yeah, exactly. Let me shower.
Oh, man.
Oh, God.
You know, I was earnestly worried we were not going to be able to make tasteful jokes about this episode, considering how heavy and torture heavy it is.
Yeah, exactly.
We found a way. I'm so proud of us.
Thank God for that one.
Thank goodness.
I want to thank God, and I also want to thank goodness.
So back to the torture. Sayid tortures his CO because his CO keeps being belligerent asshole.
He's a bad little dude. He tells Sayid to kill himself.
Yes, exactly. And Sayid's just like, all right, fine. You know what? Fuck this guy.
Yeah, I'll torture you now.
And he comes out and he hands a bloody box with blood on his hands. He has blood on his hands now, literally blood on his hands. You know how the people say you have blood on your hands sometimes? Well, here it is on his hands really now. Thanks, America. So Sayid he hands back the box, and he's like, he gives him the information. And then the final scene we see is they're like driving in a convoy. Sayid and a bunch of American soldiers. One of the American soldiers we learn is Kate's dad, actually.
What?
Yep. You see him look at a picture of Kate.
No way.
Yep.
But it wasn't. Was that of Evangeline Lilly? It wasn't, right?
It didn't really look like it.
It looked like just a young
It looked like
lady.
he's a young lady, but it's supposed to be Kate.
Oh,
That's
I
supposed
didn't
to-
get that.
And it is the same actor who tells Kate she has murder in his heart.
That dude definitely fucking has murder in his heart.
Yeah.
That's so fucking bizarre.
It's really something.
Was he the one that went in and was trying to kill everyone?
I don't
He
think
was
so.
like, I'm
no.
gonna shoot. Okay.
No, he had like a much more like old grizzled voice, and that guy was clear. Like they
He
were
was
clearly
like
different.
young, ambitious.
Exactly, young hotshot. But
Young
this guy's just like,
hotshot.
hey, you have kids? You got a family?
Yeah, he was nice.
Yeah, exactly. So he gets dropped off basically in the middle of the road by Kelvin, and Kelvin's like, here's some money, and
Kelvin gave him $1,000.
$1,000 and
U.S.
$1,000
He
US
was like,
dollars.
I'm not in the States, buddy.
And he basically is like, hey, you have a new skill set now. Also, the war is over. So have fun. And Sayid's just like, I'll never do what you made me do ever again. And Kelvin's like, yeah, right. And that's Sayid's flashback.
It was good.
What did you think of it?
It was weird. It was difficult. They really painted themselves into a situation where they inevitably do some sort of problematic things.
I think so. I think there's a lot of... This is one of the more problematic Sayid episodes.
Yeah.
But I will say, they definitely don't shed the Americans in a positive light in this episode either.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate. I definitely appreciate that, like, oh, fuck the Americans for making Sayid... teaching Sayid how torture goes.
Yeah. It was fine enough. It was, given like if you told me, hey, want to watch this episode of Lost where they're in Iraq and like at war,
yeah,
I'd be like, that sounds like it will be very bad.
Mm-hmm.
And it was only like,
it was only kind of bad.
Yeah, exactly.
It was still bad, but it was like, okay. Fine.
Yeah,
it was 2004 level. Bad,
yeah,
you know?
exactly. It was. I'm not gonna be upset about it on other people's behalf.
Exactly. Yeah. So meanwhile, the on-island plot revolves around Sayid and Danielle find a guy who got trapped.
Oh yeah.
Who's this guy?
His name is. I have it written down here. It is Henry. Something. Henry Gale?
Yes, it's Henry Gale.
Shitty name.
Shitty name.
I can see why he got trapped in a net.
And guess what?
It's honestly, it feels so liberating to not be talking about things going on in Iraq.
Yeah. What
it's
a
like,
weight
oh,
off
I
our
can
shoulders.
just say stupid shit.
Yeah, we can just say stupid shit because we're on this stupid old island that's a cork and shit.
I can make fun of any aspect of that
yes,
island.
Exactly. Like it feels like my limiters have just been removed.
Yeah.
I'm full power now. So
fuck Henry Gale.
Fuck Henry Gale.
Shitty name. He's from Minnesota.
He's from Minnesota. Now they
get a bigger soda.
Do you want to reveal the fucking truth about Henry Gale?
Yeah,
You want to get right into it?
Yeah. Now that we've alluded, we'd better...
Yeah,
we don't want to leave you hanging, good listeners at home. We know that you like us because we'll give you the straight skinny.
We'll give you the scoop and a half.
We'll rap.
We'll put our chairs backwards, sit on it, and tell you the straight talk.
Henry Gale is Benjamin Linus.
It's Benjamin Linus, and we know this because we've seen Benjamin Linus forever.
Yeah.
We've seen him a bunch.
We've seen him for years.
But this is his first canonical appearance in the show. And fun fact that you may already know, but maybe our viewers don't, and maybe our viewers do, but it's worth mentioning that Michael Emerson was brought on in this role. He was going to just be on for a couple episodes.
Really? I didn't know that.
And then he killed it, and so they were like, well, stick around for the whole season. And one thing led to another, and he turned out to be one of the central antagonists of the show for a while.
Wow, that's cool, actually. Because he's good at it.
Yeah, he's very good.
I like him. He's one of the best parts of the show.
He's one of the best performers on the show for sure.
Yeah.
And that show shines through in this episode, which he spends mostly just being fucking
he gets
out.
destroyed.
He gets destroyed.
That man's
So let's start with his destruction,
uh-huh.
right? He
sits in a bag for a day.
He sits in a bag for a day, and they find him, and he's pleading for his life. He's like, I'm Henry Gale. I'm from Minnesota. Please let me down. Who are you people? What's going on? And they let him down, and he flees. But Danielle crossbows him through the shoulder. And so he spends a large part of this episode with just an arrow in his shoulder.
It goes straight through. I'm incredibly impressed by the arrow. And actually, what I think is interesting is it's like a perfectly half and half shot.
Mm-hmm.
It went exactly halfway. There's like a couple inches sticking at the front, a couple inches at the back.
Yeah.
Truly. A great amount of arrow through shoulder.
Yeah, Danielle's a markswoman.
Yeah. Good for her.
Yeah.
Seriously. Danielle, if you're listening out there,
we're proud of you.
That was a really good shot.
You should hop into the Olympics and just put the arrow halfway through the target every time.
Yeah.
So Sayid brings this Henry Gale, quote unquote fellow,
Genry Hale,
back to the hatch. He brings Genry Hale back to the hatch. Wakes up Locke and says, "Hey Locke, check this out. Danielle found her. He says he landed on this island and he crashed on this island in a hot air balloon with his wife.
I think he's full of hot air.
I think he's full of hot air, if you ask me. Classic Sayid. This guy's full of hot air.
This guy's some sort of joker or something.
Oh, man.
Minnesota, I know a Sotan when I see one.
Sayid knows a Minnesotan when he sees one.
There's one thing I know, it's a Sotan. What do you think of the Vikings, Henry Gale? I'm not one for football. Hey, you fucker!
If you were from Minnesota, you would know the Vikings.
You would know the Vikings!
We're doing a joke on a scene we haven't actually talked about yet, but that's fine. I also, my name is Sayid Jarrah, and I know a Minnesotan when I see one.
Hey, you know the Vikings. What are their other teams? Twins?
They have the
Timberwolves?
Timberwolves are the basketball team.
They're getting good, right?
They are all right. I think they're currently in playoffs contention-ish. They've got some kinks to work out.
Good for the Wolves.
Got to give it to the Wolves. So that's been our sports podcast. Let's get back to our Lost cast.
Lost cast.
So while they're talking about like who this guy is, Jack walks in, and Jack is like, "Oh shit, this guy has an arrow in him. I am a doctor, so I'm gonna fix him right the heck now." And they're just like, "Yeah, okay." But Sayid is like, "Jack, don't untie him, because guess what? Sayid doesn't believe this guy's story."
I don't believe your story. My name is Sayid. I'm a fucking capitalist, motivated by greed.
Wow.
What do I smoke every day? Weed.
That was a fucking tour de force. Holy shit.
Yeah, it you know when you got a hit, you know it.
Fuck. I'm reeling from that. Okay. So Jack pulls the arrow out. He does a like light surgery on him and is like, he's going to be fine for now. And while he's doing this, Sayid and Locke are talking, and they're both like, "Do we really trust this guy's story? No. So listen up. Jack's not going to like this. But Locke, I need you to change the combination on the armory safe, on the lock. Locke changed the lock so that Sayid can have a talk."
Hey!
So Sayid brings Henry, quote unquote, into the armory and locks the door behind him. And Jack is like, "Wait a second, what the heck? You bamboozled me."
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Bamboozling me. You changed the lock, Locke.
And so Sayid gears up to have a real, honest-to-goodness chat, and he interrogates him, and he drills Henry Gale about all the details. He says, like, "So you're from Minnesota. How did you get here? We landed on a hot air balloon.
Vikings?
Why do you like the Vikings?" He like grills him on all these details, and like,
what was your balloon like?
And Henry's like, "My balloon, it was such and such a diameter, had such and such a cubic feet. There was a big yellow smiley face on it. I buried my wife here. We lived in a cave for such and such a time."
How deep was her grave?
How deep was her grave? So Ben is coming up with like lies on the fly.
Good lies.
Good lies.
Man is a good liar.
He's a convincing liar. When I first saw this episode, I believed that he was innocent. I believed he was who he said he was. But I obviously know better now, so I don't trust anybody anymore. So yeah, and eventually it like keeps breaking down, and like Henry's like pleading, and he's like crying, and he's like, what do you want from me? Why are you treating me this way? Tell me your name. Like, I don't even know who you are, and you're asking all these questions of me. And that's when Sayid says, like, Americans came to my country and taught me how to torture. I'm a torturer. Sayid Jarrah over here, a torturer.
It's me.
It's me. And eventually, yeah, he breaks down and says, like, you know, tell me about your wife. How did she die? When did she die? How did you dig the grave? Did you use a shovel? Did you use your hand? How deep was the grave?
How deep was the grave?
And Henry's like, I don't. And Sayid is like freaking out, and it's pretty intense. And he's like,
cool. It's a good scene.
It's a good scene. It's a captivating scene. And eventually, he gets out some pliers, and he's gonna ply his hands. And
Don't make me ply.
Don't make me ply. And Sayid basically like says like, you would remember. And Henry goes, you lost someone, didn't you? And Sayid says, I did lose someone because she was shot because we were scared of people. People like you. And then he puts away the pliers and takes out his fists and starts rat-tat-tatting on poor old Henry.
Boom.
Left hook, right hook, uppercut, jab.
It was like
Roundhouse.
UFC 143 between the man and the big old boy. Yeah, get him, Dad.
Submission hold. He's out.
What did you say?
Submission hold. He's out.
Submission hold.
That's how it works,
He's
right?
out. Yeah.
I'm not a UFC expert, but that sounds right to me. So here's while this is happening, while this is escalating, this is intercut with Jack demanding, Locke, you open this door right now, and Locke being like, this is fine because this is war and this is okay because we need this information, so it's okay. And Jack is like, what if he's an innocent man, though? What if he's an innocent man? This is not really justifiable. And Locke is like, well, I don't really care. But then, what starts going off?
The numbers start ticking down.
They start ticking down, and he hears that beeping of the button. And Jack says, oh, well, guess what? I don't believe the button. Anything's going to happen when we hit 0. So I'm going to hold you here, and you're going to open the safe until I do. And he gets really wild-faced. Let me tell you, Sayid Jarrah does a much more convincing I'm unhinged face than Jack.
Jack's is just sort of weird. It looks like he's like, it's like,
Stretch your
I'm like a second-rate Luke Wilson who looks a little hungry.
Here's what to do to get Jack's Jack's loose cannon face in this episode. Bug out your eyes real big and stretch your lower lip over your lower teeth and give me just a hint of those upper teeth. Just a smidgen.
Teeth, it's a really good.
He
has white teeth.
He has glistening, marvelous marbles of teeth.
How do they brush their fucking teeth on that island?
Well, they're in the hatch. The hatch has everything you need. Toothbrush,
Just
toothpaste.
one toothbrush.
One toothbrush, one toothpaste. Jack uses it only. Only Jack gets to use
Fuck
it.
you, I'm the doctor. And Bernard's like, but I'm the dentist.
I'm the dentist.
Oh my God, man. Bernard, get out. Oh my
Bernard
God.
Bernard is not in this episode, but his look at Juliet that one time, this look at Locke, those are two top tier faces of Lost.
Yeah.
And I can't think of any other off the top of my head, but we'll keep adding to that repertoire, I think, as the show goes on. So finally, Jack acquiesces. Locke unlocks the door, and Jack goes in and pulls Sayid off of Henry, and Locke goes to push the button, but he kind of misses the mark.
He fumbles. He does that. He's typing with one finger because he's an old man and doesn't know how to use a computer. Mm-hmm. And then he does the classic. He types in like 4, 8, 16, 16, 16.
He types in 16 like 5 times.
Uh-oh, gotta go back. Gotta fix those numbers.
Gotta go back and fix those numbers.
With my one fucking key press at a time, my one finger.
So I have one question to ask here. So the timer hits 0.
Yeah.
And then the timer we see, which is like black and white and like 5 digits long or so.
Yeah.
It furls over. It starts like furling really fast. And then it furls into red and black hieroglyphs.
Yeah.
My question is, why would you ever design your timer to be that way?
It's bad design.
It doesn't make sense.
It's like this weird demonic aspect. Like
it's like someone, like whoever was designing that timer was just like really feeling fucked up.
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna get fucked.
It's gonna get crazy. Forks are gonna start flying everywhere.
Red smoke's gonna start coming in, like
and flashing lights, and then Metallica's "And One for All" starts playing, and "Justice for All."
Yeah, maybe that's what they're doing. If they don't press the button every 108 minutes, Metallica is going to play a show, and they want to do whatever they can to make sure that doesn't happen.
That can't happen. This whole island will sink if Metallica plays through all of Master of Puppets.
Saint Anger.
That's a bad one, right?
Stanger
things.
Stanger things.
Saint Anger things. Why isn't that a thing?
Anger things.
That's really got to be something. Okay, that's a whole other podcast. Look out for a new podcast, Saint Anger things, where we talk about the correlations between the bad Metallica album and the okay 80s show.
Have you watched the second season?
I have.
I haven't.
Well, I'll spoil it all for you right now. the upside down is sane anger the whole time.
I didn't know that was going there. I should have.
You really should have. It's right there in the title.
Yeah, I guess so.
You replace the R with a dot.
Stanger.
Stanger. That's one of our better tangents, I think.
So then what do we got going on?
What basically the episode ends with Sayid just being on the beach with Charlie.
Yeah.
Charlie's first appearance in this episode.
Yeah.
And Sayid basically gives this monologue about like what I did. They're hiding a guy in the hatch right now. This guy claims to have crashed on the island just like us. I don't believe him 1 second, and I tortured him, and I know it was right because I don't feel guilt about it. I feel like this torture was good, and also the others are still a threat. Let me recount every ways they kidnapped Claire, they hung you up and tied you to a string, Charlie. They left you for dead.
To a string.
To a string. A rope is just thick string.
Yeah.
Think about it.
True. Actually,
am I wrong?
I think we're done here. I think we got it.
Yeah.
We got it.
We got it.
We got it, everybody.
Cook it.
That's a wrap.
Close the books on that one. Take 5.
A
take
rope
10.
is thick string.
A rope is just thick string. We finally figured it out.
Hey.
So he basically says, like, actually torture is good, and then the show ends.
Yeah.
So, you know.
But you know what? As much as that's a bit of a bummer,
guess what?
there is one more plot line.
There's one more plot line to talk about.
We have not talked about yet.
So remember how last episode last episode in the chronology of the show.
The long con.
Sawyer pulls off this masterful heist. He's done it. He has secured all of the guns in the camp. They are all his. Anybody wants weapons to fight this.
You gotta go to Sawyer.
You gotta go to Sawyer. What a coup he's pulled.
The Top Gun himself.
This episode opens with him in his tent, and he hears a chirping of some kind, and he goes, "What the heck is that noise?" And I'm gonna go into the woods and find it. And he runs into Hurley, and Hurley's eating a bunch of food, and he's like, "Oh, big man eat food, funny."
That's actually a really good impression of what he does. So cool. Eat some ranch dip. Hey, like, he compares him to an elephant.
Yeah, he's basically like, "Oh, the big guy eats food," and everybody's just like, "Okay, cool."
We get it.
I'm glad that we managed to slip like body shaming into the pro torture episode of Lost.
God damn it, Lost.
Damn it, Lost.
Just when I was trying to like you again.
That's just when I was trying to like you again. And
Hurley is eating from the biggest tub of ranch dressing I've ever seen in my life.
And he's like getting like ranch on himself, and he's like
he's covered in ranch.
And there's like they pull it over, and there's just like tubs of like peanut butter and like shit.
Yeah.
Like he's got like a bunch of like essential food items just in a pile, and he has it because big man funny
big man loves
eat.
To eat.
Big man eat. It's like what is happening? This is like I don't know why like I can't really put into words how like insane like
the one ethnic character is a torturer
and the one big character have big food.
Loves ranch dressing.
Loves that ranch
steals all the ranch and hides it in the woods.
Like, come on, Lost. We're trying to go to bat for you here. At least I am, and you keep pulling this shit.
You keep striking out.
You keep striking the fuck out. Oh my god. Anyways, Sawyer basically says, "All right, I will keep your stash a secret if you help me on this adventure to find whatever this chirping is, because this chirping is bugging me."
Ooh,
they have a whimsical, goofy romp of a story in this incredibly torture-filled episode.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with the episode.
It has nothing to do with anything
before or after. It has nothing to do with the previous. Yeah, exactly.
It's it's
just them hanging out.
It's just them
Sawyer
hanging out.
and Hurley chasing a frog.
I think it's excuse me. I think it's meant to be a bit of levity in this like dark ass episode.
That must be it. That makes sense.
But it's so like the tonal whiplash is way too jarring.
Yeah,
like,
completely.
It's just like
it's from like the most serious life or death, like scary questions.
Yeah,
to,
like makes you think everything you know about like what is good and what is wrong, and like all like to what ends are you willing to go?
Uh-huh.
And like do do.
Chasing for a frog.
Looking for go on a big adventure. Do.
Doop-a-doop-a-doo. Derp-a-derp-derp. That frog's making too much noise.
The frog's making too much noise.
I love it
and
too
Hurley
because
have big tub of ranch. Big tub of ranch.
I gotta protect my ranch.
Gotta protect my ranch. Talk about steaks.
He's just a rancher.
He's just a
Gotta
rancher.
protect my ranch.
Home on the ranch.
Home on the Doritos Cool Ranch, where the deer and the antelope are delicious, slathered in ranch.
It's a non-plot.
I
think Sawyer basically is mean to Hurley for a while, and he's basically like, oh, big old tubby tub while they're walking, and Hurley's like, hey, I get it. I'm fat, all right? You think I don't know that? Fat man loves to eat. Well, guess what? At least people like me, and you're a big jerk, so I'm gonna not help you. And Sawyer's basically like, I'm sorry, and Hurley's like, okay, the end. Let's keep going, and they find the frog, and it's cute, and Hurley's like, hey, guess what? I'll take it to a beach or something. And Sawyer's like, actually, how about this? And he crushes the fucking frog in his fucking hand.
It's sort of sick.
And then he puts the fucking frog corpse in Hurley's hand.
He says, I heard they taste good with ranch.
He does. They were really attached to the idea of big ranch.
They loved the ranch. There must have been someone in the prop department that's like, oh, you can do something with this, can't you? And the writers are like, oh, we'll write a whole episode about that type of ranch.
One writer goes to Costco one time.
Exactly.
And it's just like, no, you guys, you don't understand. The big ranch. It was so big.
Hurley's gonna love it.
Because he big and ranch big. Wow. And they're like, okay, I guess we'll put this in the torture episode.
Yeah, exactly. We gotta find some place to put the frog ranch
storyline that fucking Carl won't shut up about.
Carl. Typical. Fuck.
He'd never even been to a Costco before he got the job on Lost.
Oh my god.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
To be fair, I hadn't been to a Costco till one came to St. John, so.
How do you like it?
Pretty good. Everything there, real big. Everything
big
here
hot
is
dogs.
true. Big hot dog, big bag of a chip, big toilet paper,
Big TP.
big coat, everything big in Costco.
Big Costco. But the number one big at the number one store. Big store. Big ranch.
Big ranch. What did you think of this episode of Lost?
I thought it was fine. It was, I mean, there were positives and negatives of it.
Absolutely.
But I think at the end of the day, the story made sense for the most part.
Yeah.
It had some bearing on the future of the show.
It did.
There was no bullshit religious aspects or no, temple of infinite questions.
That's true. There was not, except for the plot with Sawyer and Hurley, which I'd argue you can see they're trying to do a bit of levity there, but it's still
it was dumb.
It was dumb, but it also didn't take up that much time. It was maybe
exactly.
2 or 3
maybe
scenes.
6 minutes total, and it was just Sawyer and Hurley. I'll let them do that. I like them.
Exactly. Yeah. And the whole episode is very tight. It's just Sayid, Locke, Jack, Danielle for a bit, and a lot of Ben. Yeah. And it's just them acting their asses off mostly.
Yeah, it's good. In terms of entertainment,
for sure.
Pretty good.
In terms of problematic attitudes towards torture, not so great.
Not incredible.
Not optimal. But this is also, I don't know. I'm not gonna lose sleep over it.
Nah. It was okay.
It was fine.
It was okay.
That episode gets a firm okay out of perfect.
A solid to decent. Decent. Solid.
A solid to decent. James, could you do me a favor and look up on your phone a list of episodes of Lost so we can find out what we're watching next week?
I would love to do that.
Yay.
So, episodes of Lost list by Wikipedia. Oh, my phone, the second I type in EPI for episode, it automatically knows what I'm looking now.
I bring up list of, and it knows I want Lost episodes.
Fuck.
This show is seeping into our realities and ruining our lives.
Yep. All right, what do we got here? You on random.org?
I'm getting there. It's 1 to 121, right?
1 to 121.
The number I generate is 31. I think that puts us
this
still
will
firmly
probably be good.
Still in season 2, I think.
Season 2, episode 6, Abandoned.
Abandoned. Okay.
Who does it focus on? Shannon.
Shannon.
Whoa.
Shannon abandoned.
Crazy.
All right. That's a pretty close episode to this one. All right. We'll watch the, I think, only Shannon episode this coming Thursday. Hey, thanks for listening to our silly little show. Like us on Facebook at the Island Shuffle. Like us on Twitter at Island Shuffle. And I've been Bean Levier.
I've been James Brown.
And thanks for listening again, like we say at the end of every single one of these episodes.
You can't buy that. I mean, get lost.